I think the first is, get the Iranians back to Oman, negotiate with them, and do a deal. Again, the deal has to be no enrichment, full dismantlement. I think for the reasons we talked about today, Scott and I passionately disagree, but that's fine. This is a reasonable debate. Neither of us is crazy. Neither of us is irrational. It is what would it take to get a deal with Iran. I say this is the deal. This has to be our red line. Scott disagrees. That's fine. But we got to get a deal. In that deal, we got to provide them financial incentives, right? We're going to have to lift a certain number of sanctions because they're going to have to get something in return. Okay? We can argue about exactly how much, but I think our opening negotiating position is no sanctions relief, and then we'll get negotiated down from that, right? I mean, Lex, I think a lot of this is about how do you position yourself for a negotiation? How do you come in with leverage? And then how do you find areas of compromise where you satisfy your objectives? One is Oman. Two is the credible threat of military force needs to remain, right? Khamenei needs to understand that the United States of America and Israel will use military force to stop him from developing nuclear weapons. If he didn't believe that before, 12 days ago, he now believes that. And I think that's the credibility of that military force has to be maintained in order to ensure that he does not break out or sneak out to a nuclear weapon. I think that's absolutely critical. Third is I think we have to reach agreements with all the other countries in the Middle East to say, hey, listen, we're demanding zero enrichment and full dismantlement from the Iranians. You don't get enrichment and you don't get a nuclear program that is capable of developing nuclear weapons. Our gold standard is the American standard. Civilian nuclear energy, like 23 countries, no enrichment and reprocess. We should be consistent. We should be consistent not just with American allies, but also very clear with American enemies. I think that's the third important thing we do. Fourth is I think it's really important that we find some kind of accommodation between the Israelis and the Palestinians. We can go down many rabbit holes on that, but I think that lays the predicate for a Saudi-Israeli normalization deal that then brings in multiple Arab countries and Muslim countries. And finally is, we talked about the Abraham Accords.